Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you live from beautiful Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a great week so far, finding enjoyment in life and staying positive and healthy. In this lesson, we are looking at Task 2 Writing. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch, and in 90 minutes, I will host another class that will be for everyone, where everybody can join the chat. Hi, Abhishek. Nice to see our members coming into the class. As usual, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please visit us there. And for general IELTS, visit us at IELTShelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots of help for you for the writing section, writing essays, getting professional editing, feedback with comments. So make sure to use those services. The websites look like this. This is the academic website here at aehelp.com. You can click that big red button to join the premium package there. If you have questions, students, you can contact me, Adrian at aehelp.com, about our products or about the IELTS exam. Hi, Jainil. Hi, Sammy, Ois, Abhishek, Nikhil, Carolina, Rajveer, Pavan, Bekjan, Amrita. Nice to see so many students joining in on the class. That's fantastic. We'll get going here in just a moment. Again, the schedule for this week's live classes, it's on our YouTube community post, so you can always check it out there. We will have 2 classes today, including this one, and then we'll have 2 classes tomorrow and the day after. Okay, so let's get into our writing task 2 practice. We're going to focus on planning, brainstorming, and coming up with a high band answer. That's our goal here. This is something that you have to do in the 40 minutes. I suggested to many students to look at that writing marking rubric for the IELTS exam. Did anybody do that? Did anybody take a look at that writing IELTS marking sheet that's available online to the public from British Council? Did anybody look at that to see what is actually required by you, the candidates, to get those higher band scores? The reason I ask that is because I think the task completion category is really important to look at and to understand clearly. I'm not going to go over that with you. You can check that on your own, but I will tell you a couple of important points for the high band scores, for the bands 7, 8, and 9. Rajveer says, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, good, Rajveer. I'm happy you're looking at that. So look at the writing section criteria or marking online. Okay, and you will see that for band 7 to 9 essays, the task completion category indicates that these band levels require original essays that are well developed with specific points. Okay. So again, the reason I'm explaining this to you is just for those students who are still stuck on these IELTS writing template essays that you're seeing online. And I think many of you know what I'm talking about, where you think that the introduction, so the IELTS template essays that you see in many places online and elsewhere, which simply state to paraphrase the task 2 question, and then write this essay will discuss the benefits and deficits of, is not considered satisfactory for band 7 to 9 task completion marking criteria. Okay? So just wanted to kind of really start with that point. I keep emphasizing that we have a lot of viewers, and I really want everybody to get as high of scores as possible. So it's really important that everybody's clear on that this type of introduction where you simply just paraphrase, or even some students repeat the question and then write a thesis, an indirect thesis like this essay will discuss the benefits and deficits, is not considered satisfactory for band 7 to 9 task completion. So if you look at that writing section criteria for the IELTS exam that's made to the public, it says that the student expresses original thought with clear, direct structure, makes sound arguments that are explained in detail in the essay. So you can see that, okay? And that's what they're talking about, all right? All right? And just keep in mind that these types of essays are absolutely unacceptable. This is another reason why it's really bad that students are learning this essay format from online and from certain classes, is that they're going to be in shock when they get to their college or university. These types of essays are absolutely unacceptable at the college and university level. I would say even at the high school level, okay? But for the benefit of the doubt, I'll keep it as such, all right? So I can see that many of our students are like, yeah, I got that. I know I've explained many of you that point over and over again, but it's just really, really important. And for those of you who are going to study in university and college abroad, this type of essay, you will nosedive if you do this kind of writing, okay? All right, so let's get into correct essay planning and into correct writing strategy, which is effective both for IELTS and for post-secondary study, okay? All right, so first thing first, let's read the question carefully, slowly, okay? Don't rush through the question. Pay attention to every point in the question, okay? You should spend 40 minutes on this task. It is common these days to pay for services and products with personal information, okay? Like email address and shopping locations, especially online, rather than money. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your own opinion, okay? Let's take out that unnecessary word. All right. Sammy says, this essay I practiced today morning. That's interesting, Sammy, because our team came up with this question. So I guess if you saw this somewhere else, somebody else came up with it at the same time, because this is coming from our own think tank. Mind you, it's not surprising, Sammy, because the questions that our team comes up with on our end, we're thinking the same way as Cambridge IELTS test makers as well. What are the hot topics that most people can talk about that are kind of general yet still unique? Okay, so that's kind of, it's an interesting point, Sammy. So when you think about what might be your task 2 question, which is impossible to guess, okay, but a lot of students like to kind of think about this. So what might be my IELTS task 2 question, right? A lot of people would love to know the answer to that before they sit the test. Hi, Mahil. The only information I can tell you about this is it can be any question within the confounds of most people. Let's do it like this. Most people, like let's say 99%, should have some knowledge of it. B, it should, let's make a list here, and then you'll kind of see what kind of restraints IELTS is working with when they come up with these questions, okay? And it's a nice insight, Sammy, so why not? Let's break out into this a little bit. So it should be non-biased, okay? So equal for cultures, genders, ages, religions, it should be original and students of various English abilities should be able to write some information about it. Okay, so that's kind of the constraints. Welcome again, Barendra. So these are kind of the constraints. So when IELTS people are coming up with questions for task 2, when our team is coming up with questions for task 2, these are kind of the ideas that we keep in mind. Okay, so modern technology, the internet, that's why it's a hot topic for today. And of course, they're often provocative topics. So when possible, it should be an interesting topic as well. Okay, maybe a topic that many people think about. So keep that in mind. And that's valuable information. Okay, so that's valuable information to understand and to consider when you're looking at these task 2 questions. Now, realistically, of course, there are a million different questions that we could ask within those confounds. Is that clear? So is that kind of, do you understand what IELTS or what people who come up with these essay questions are considering when they come up with these essay questions? You've probably felt that looking and practicing several of these questions. Okay. All right. So, yeah, it says sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, let's, yeah, good. I'm happy to get, I was looking for that feedback, so I'm happy to see it. All right, so let's paraphrase this question first, okay? So step 1, let's make sure that we all understand this question clearly, so let's paraphrase it. Let's write it in our own words. I'm going to do the same, so I'll have a moment of silence while I paraphrase, let you think a little bit. And then we'll compare. Okay. So that is my paraphrase. Let's see what you've come up with. Bekshan says, nowadays it is prevalent to purchase goods and services digitally by providing private info, such as email accounts and zip codes, rather than cash. Very nice, Bekshan. Explain both the drawbacks and merits of this phenomenon and state your own position. Very nice, Bekshan. Okay, a lot of good paraphrasing there. Carolina says nowadays it's a tendency to pay for services and products with private information like email addresses and shopping locations, especially online, rather than cash. Discuss pros and cons of this. Yeah, cash is okay. Cash is like real paper money. There's also digital money, so I just kept it as money, but cash is okay. Rajveer says these days it is trendy, especially during online shopping, to buy products and services by furnishing personal information or personal details such as email and location rather than using money. A very good, interesting use of furnishing, Rajveer. It's possible. Yeah. Describe the benefits and deficits of it and explain your own position. Very good. My paraphrase is frequently nowadays, individuals exchange their private information like email and location, often on the internet, instead of paying with money. What are the benefits and negatives of this trend, and what is your perspective on this? Okay, so that's my paraphrase. Paraphrasing should happen quickly. If you get stuck, you have to really pay attention to why are you getting stuck? What might you be missing in the question? What is not clear? If you're stuck paraphrasing the question, it might be that something is not clear in the question. So Maksud says nowadays it has become simple. Instead of simple, Maksud, I think use the word commonplace. Commonplace. To purchase goods and services with position of shopping, mostly online, rather than cash. Okay, Maksud, not bad. A little bit off on the paraphrasing, but you're on the right track. All right. Ois, these days it is common for people to purchase goods and services with their personal information as email address instead of money. Okay, O is good. Watch your prepositions. Okay. Sammy says, generally, nowadays, it's common to pay for necessities with one's own data, like private data. I would put private data there, Sammy. Like email address and shopping preferences, especially e-transactions like mobile payments, apps, are famous for this rather than cash transactions. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, great. So let's go to the next step and identify the topic and the controlling idea. So here, what are we talking about? Okay, what's the topic? What are we talking about? Maksud says paying online. Yeah, it's not just online, although the question does say mostly online. So you're somewhat right. Yeah, that's right, Rajveer. Method of payment. Method of payment. Exactly. Okay. Carolina says, I'm not sure. Paying for services and products with personal information. Carolina, that's a little bit of a mix of the topic and the controlling idea. So, method of payment. Okay, that's what we're talking about, is the method of payment. Okay, what are we actually paying with, right? So you can pay with cash, you can pay by trading a chicken, you could pay with an ounce of blood, or you could pay with your personal information, right? Depending on where you are, you have options for what you pay with. So method, or we could also say mode of payment. Okay, and then what's the controlling idea? Yeah, so remember, students, that all you need to do when you're coming up with a topic is answer the question, what are we talking about? So are we talking about only paying with personal information? No, because we're talking about also paying with personal information instead of money, right? So what are we taught? So what's the controlling? Okay. Yeah, so Rajveer, very good. So Rajveer says the controlling idea is paying with personal information rather than paying with money. Okay. And Sammy says the advantages and disadvantages of this. Okay. So I would put those together, Rajveer and Sammy, and create the controlling idea of advantages and disadvantages of paying with personal information rather than money. Okay, online, or sometimes you do that now in shopping malls or other places as well, where people will give you a product and all you have to do is give them your email. How many of you have had a situation where you're walking through a shopping mall and somebody runs up to you and gives you a sample of soap and all they want from you is your name and your email address? Has anybody had that experience? Or they give you a sample of shampoo, or they give you a free something and all they want from you is your email or some piece of personal data. What your zip code is all they want from you. Your name and your zip code, or your name and your email, something like that. I think most of us have, okay? So most of us have had that. We'll give you something, just give us this little bit of information, right? Yeah, Carolina's like, yeah. So it's online, but it's also in physical form. So you do have this in the real world as well. Oh, mining human data is a big business these days, for sure. Okay, so that's the controlling idea. Okay, advantages and disadvantages of paying with personal information. All right. So let's go through this in a little bit of detail. What's the first question that I should ask? Okay, so clearly we're on the same page. So this is why, see, we're in many different countries around the world. There's at least, I would say, even among the members, I think there's at least 8 or 9 different countries represented in this class. Yeah, what's the first? And we all have the same experience, right? So this is a global phenomenon, right? Global phenomenon. So Beckjan says, what is a method of payment or mode of payment? Yeah, exactly. So that would be your first simple question, simple, quote unquote, doesn't mean easy. And that's what we want to ask first. So what is a method of payment? And what's the answer to that? So if you had to define this, like let's say an alien came to visit Earth and sees that we have this economic system of buying and selling. Maybe they don't, right? We can't assume that aliens have the same systems as we do. And this alien asks you, okay, so you've told me that there's this system in place that involves a method of payment. What does it mean, a method of payment? So what does that mean? What is the answer to that question? And this is where I want to start the week by getting you thinking, so getting those wheels turning, especially in English. I'm really hoping that most of you are thinking about these ideas in English. Okay, try to keep your ideas in English. So, what is a method of payment? So OS says there are many ways: credit card, debit, cash, Visa, MasterCard. That's a type of payment, OS, but that's not necessarily the definition of a method of payment. So Beckjan says it's the way people pay for their products using modern technology or cash. I think that's a bit off too, Beckjan. What does it actually mean, a method of payment? Try not to use the same word. So try not to use the word pay, okay? It's very difficult to clarify an idea for someone using the same words as the question. So try not to use the same words in the answer, okay? Nikhil, you too have that. So you say payment method, plastic money, online payments using different software. Those are examples. Those are how we pay, okay? But it's not the what, it's not the why. Okay, I think all of you are thinking about the how answer instead of the what answer. Try not to confuse the what and the how. Okay, so what is a payment? So what is a method of payment? Don't think about the hows here. Okay. So Beckjan says it is options people have to purchase their product and services. Okay, let's take that one step further, Beckjan. What is that option? Okay. This is what I would say. It is a perceived value that can be exchanged for a product or service. Okay? Maybe I'm not clear enough with method of payment if I just take away that and just say payment. So what is a payment? Okay, so instead of thinking about it as a method of payment, that's maybe a bit much here, and that's what's confusing. Think about it just as what is payment? Okay. Does that make a bit more sense now, explaining it this way? I think I might have miscommunicated that with you a bit. So here, when we're thinking of a method of payment, I'm not thinking of a type of payment like cash or gold or silver, but I'm actually thinking like, what is the concept of payment? Those are just examples of payment types, right? Okay, is everybody on the same page? So if I see something that you have and I perceive that to have value for me. So I look at that and I go, hey, that button on your shirt, that's valuable for me. I can really use that. I can use that to catch a fish, for example. And I'm willing to trade my shirt for that button. Then that button becomes your method of payment for my shirt because it's a perceived value for me. Okay? If I don't perceive it as having value, then I'm not going to exchange anything for it. Okay? Yeah, so Ois says the economic definition is that it is the value that you're trading. Okay? Mahi, it's all a type of barter system at the end of the day, right? When we standardize that barter system, it becomes a fiat system of monetary exchange, but we don't need to get that detailed, okay? So let's not go that far down the rabbit hole. What's the next question? So what's the next question? And again, this is where you really want to be accurate and you want to be able to do this quickly. So you're practicing this every time you're looking at this, these types of task 2 questions. So what is a method of payment? It is a perceived value that can be exchanged for a product or a service. What's the next question? Let's get into this. Okay. What would be a good question that could help you write a good essay for this? Mahi, you're thinking about the why for the controlling ideas, and that's good. You want to do that later. Before that, Beckjohn says, why do we have these modes of payment? Yeah. Carolina, very good. Why we use payments. So keep your thoughts simple. If you can think quickly and well in simple terms, you'll do really well in these types of essays and communication. So why do people and society support a system of payments? Okay, or support modes of payments. I'm basically asking the same as you. So why do we do that? It's the answer that's important for us here. Okay. Yeah, so Janelle says, why are there these methods? That was good, Janelle. Why are there these methods of payment? Okay. Berendra, why is it useful? Sure, in a very simple way. Yeah, Maksud, good. To exchange goods and services to satisfy our needs. Right? Okay. To fulfill our needs and desires, Abhishek. Needs and desires, right? I need a bag of potatoes because I'm hungry. I don't have potatoes, but I can teach English. You have a bag of potatoes and you want to speak English because then you can sell your potatoes to more people. So you say, okay, Adrian, teach me English for 20 minutes and I'll give you a bag of potatoes. And I go, all right, sounds good. And we make that exchange, right? So we don't have everything that we need. And so we create this method of payment system to fulfill our needs and desires, okay? So it is needed to fulfill our needs and desires. Absolutely. Now we get to how. So how are these methods of payment in society. And this answer, many of you have already given. There is a fiat system of currency in place. That's what we have, right? Now there is personal information. So information exchange that has value, right? And then we have commodities, precious metals, and so on. There are many, many different methods of payment in society, including the fiat system, including precious metals like gold and silver, including personal information, which is one of the most recent ones that have been clearly established. There's also commodities like grains, rice, fresh water, and so on. Okay. The fiat system, Jainil, is our system of using dollars and different currencies. Okay, like Indian rupiah is a type of fiat system. It's called the fiat system. It's the name of it. Okay. All right. So before the fiat system, we had the gold standard, right, where all of the value was equated to gold. All right. So now that we've thought about this, now we need to get into the controlling idea. And we could ask a lot of questions for the controlling idea. What is paying with personal information? I think we know that. What's the next question? So if we think about what is paying with personal information, it means I give somebody my email address, they give me a bar of soap to take with me. Okay, so what's the next question? And this is a very important one to do well on this essay. Before we get to that one, Abhishek, what are the advantages of paying with personal information? Yeah, so that's a good one, Rajveer. Okay, so Rajveer says, before we think about the advantages, disadvantages, let's think about the why. So why do we choose to pay with personal information rather than cash? You've probably realized, so remember students, visualize, right? Always visualize. Visualizing, you get a lot of help, right? You've probably seen products on the internet where it says, you can pay us $5 a month and we don't need any of your personal information, or let us access this personal information, all of your Facebook contacts or whatever, and you can get it for free. Have any of you seen this type of payment system in apps or in services that you're using, where it basically says, pay us $5 a month, and we don't want this information, or give us this information, and you can use the product for free? Have you seen this before? Natalie says, sure. I've seen it. Yeah, one that I can give you are One Signal is a company that we work with. One Signal's push notifications. They have an option where it's either $100 a month. That's what we use. And we keep all of our data private, or they can resell all of our contact data to third parties and use their service for free. Okay, so you have this as well. Okay. All right. So before we go too far down the rabbit hole, why? So why should we choose? So why do people choose to pay with personal information rather than cash? Why is that? Yeah, Bekjan, a common one is email account, but it's more and more. Yeah, Amrit, maybe there's too many problems with it in India. That's why. So. Okay, so not why do companies want it, but why do people do it? So why would you say, okay, I don't want to pay the $5, so I'll just give you my personal information? So Oa says it seems to save much money up front, right? Okay, Bekjan says discount. Janil says it convenient. It seems to be Okay. All right. Okay, so that's great. Any other ideas? So Romain says people believe that it can lead to future benefits and they feel that they're more important. Yeah, when Romain, that's very good. Vanity. So to feel important and needed. Yeah, I think there's something there. It's possible. Okay. Okay, Mahi, very good. So Mahi says it's the only option. Yeah, it's very true. That's how valuable it really is to companies, right? Is they don't even give you another option. They say either give us your personal information or you cannot use this product. Sure, that's absolutely true. I've seen that in many, many places. Okay, what's another good question to ask? So giving good answers, giving good task to responses, writing good task to essays really does come down to asking good questions. Okay. Beckjohn says to have updates. Okay, so to get updates on products and information. Okay. All right, what's the next question that we can ask? So what is another good question? Okay. What would be another good question to ask here? So you're not paying with cash, you're not paying with money. Keep this in mind. It's not how, because we have a good idea of that. We talked about, giving up our email or our geolocation, and they can access our gallery, our video footage, and lots of other information. Rajveer says, what are the negative sides of paying through personal information? I think that's tricky, Rajveer. I think there's a better way to ask that question. So whenever you're in an economic exchange with another entity, whether it's you and a business and a business, or two people, you should always think about your side. I'm giving my personal information like email address or access to my pictures and my videos. So Natalie, that's the right question. So Natalie's saying, well, think about the other side. Why do they want it? So if they say, hey, that's valuable for me, I want that. Why do they want it? Why is that valuable for them, right? So that would be my next question, because that will help me understand the advantages and disadvantages from my side. The advantages seem like less money, updates, certain benefits, but to understand the negatives, I'd have to think about, why am I able to do this? Why is my personal information valuable to them? Okay, so why do companies want my personal information instead of money? Right? So another way to say that is, what's in it for them? Okay. Yeah. So why would they take my personal information over $5? In fact, a lot of companies are hoping that you're going to click, I'll share my personal information, instead of saying, I'll give you $5. Okay. You think that you're getting the better deal by, I just saved $5 a month and I gave them my personal information, but they're actually the ones getting the better deal. That's why they're big companies. Okay. So why? Okay. So Maksud says to send ads and lure people to buy products. Okay. So marketing. There's more than just marketing. That's just the tip of the iceberg, okay, for marketing and promotions. Anybody else have any ideas of why? There we go, Beckjohn. Very nice. So Beckjohn nailed that one keyword that I was hoping some of you would come up with, to manipulate, to have the power to manipulate. The user. Absolutely. If I have lots of information about you, what color you like, where you go shopping, what kind of foods you eat, who your friends are, if I have all of that information, I can slowly but surely and effectively manipulate you. Okay? What can I manipulate? Yeah, Carolina, and I can sell it to third parties, but at the end of the day, I can manipulate you, right? So I can influence your behavior. I can actually have an effect on your behavior, on your personality in the long run. Don't think today, tomorrow. Think years and years, okay? So I can manipulate the person that you are, your behaviors, your wishes, your desires, your needs, okay? So I can actually manipulate that, all right? And by manipulating that, what am I actually manipulating? So I'm manipulating your personality, right? Your wishes. And what else? Think of these big, remember students, I always said think of the big ideas, right? So think of the global ideas. Okay, so manipulating our choices, Pavan, absolutely. It's a nice word. Okay, well, it's not a nice idea, but it's a nice word to come up with. Our preferences, your lifestyle, absolutely. Okay, the more information I have about you, the more power I have to manipulate your choices, your lifestyle. And what else? What's one other point that I'm manipulating? What do people often exchange for money? Think about that. So what do we often exchange for money? So what do we give for money, right? Somebody pays us. Many of us have a boss that gives us, there we go, Romaine. We give our time for money, right? Many of us go to an office at 9 a.m., work until 5 p.m. We give 8 hours a day. We get paid per hour. So we're giving our time and our energy for money, right? So what can people manipulate, or companies, with our business? They can manipulate our time, right? So at the end of the day, money is just a tool, right? So why do companies want personal information? Not just to lure you and sell their products. That's part of it, sure. But it's also to have the power to manipulate the user, to manipulate your personality, your wishes, your choices, your time, your energy. Of course, maybe in large part for this purpose, for you to buy services and products, but of course for any other purpose that they suddenly might feel the need to do so, okay? So Romaine says our attention. Romaine, your attention is your time, right? Your attention is in large part your time. Okay, great. I bet that most of you can now come up with a good thesis. So this is kind of the formulation, and these are general truths that most people would agree with if they thought about this question from a lot of perspectives, from details. They're not giving you the services because they're so benevolent. They also need to survive and live, right? So there's definitely very clear reasons, and these are most of them. So come up with a thesis statement. Okay, so come up with your thesis statement here. I would like to see what you come up with. I don't want to give you more tips, and I'll give you a little bit of a head start. Remember the original question when you're coming up with your thesis. So the original question is, it is common these days to pay for services and products with personal information like email addresses and shopping locations, especially online, rather than money. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this and give your own opinion. Okay, so I'm sure that now you will be able to produce an A-class Band 7 to Band 9 thesis statement for your introduction that is going to be a winner for this Task 2 essay. Okay, I'm going to do the same quietly, and then we'll do a little comparison. All right? So a good thesis is your key to a good argument, to creating value for your reader, and to, of course, getting a high band score on the IELTS, and getting good grades in university, and creating effective business, okay, in communication. So here we go. All right. So that's my thesis statement. I'm going to kind of just move it off screen and wait for yours. Okay, Bekjan says, in my opinion, the main advantages of providing personal information are getting discounts and updates, while the disadvantages of this are manipulating and bothering. I believe the latter is greater. Okay, that works, Bekjan. I don't know if bothering, so I believe the disadvantages of this are manipulating and influencing. Instead of bothering, Bekjan, I would use the word influencing. Rajveer, the benefits of paying for services and products through personal information are convenience and discounts, and deficits of this phenomenon are manipulations of people's time and energy. That's very good, Rajveer. I believe that the disadvantages are more than the advantages. Yeah, very good, Rajveer. So you have a little bit of a different take than Bekjan, a little bit different than me, but those are all original and good thesis statements. Whether we go with yours, Rajveer, or yours, Bekjan, I think we can easily put together a Band 8, Band 9 essay. Maksud says, although the drawbacks of paying online with locations of shopping centers are manipulating and promoting, I believe that the benefits such as convenience are greater. Okay, so you're taking the opposite argument, Maksud, which is possible in this case, sure. Why not? As long as you can clearly explain that. You don't need location of shopping centers, just personal information. So don't get into too much details in the thesis, okay? Your focus is on the argument, not the details. Pavan says, the merit of providing personal data for goods are convenience and savings, while the demerits are manipulating choices and time. I believe the latter is better. I think what you mean to say, Pavan, is I think the latter is more costly. Okay, Pavan, one more time. I believe the latter is more costly or is more expensive. Okay, which is often true. Sammy says, though there are advantages of giving individual personal data and getting products, the disadvantages are more than that of the advantages, like the way people may lose personal data and be manipulated. Okay, Sammy, your ideas are okay. It's a little bit wordy. You have a lot of what seems to be word repetition, advantages, giving, getting, get. You want to simplify that. Even though they're a little bit different, those words, Sammy, it just seems like there's a lot of redundance there. Okay. Amrita says, although it is arguably the best way to pay through personal data in order to be updated with technology and get offers by numerous companies, there are still some threats. Okay, Amrita, you're on the right path. Just keep your thoughts simple, okay? Say it in a simple way, but I think you're on the right path. Hassan says, although selling personal data can provide a good discount and free services at some point. I believe that the dark side of this trend is that people can be manipulated easily and lose their time and energy. Hassan, that's a really nice thesis. I love how there's a lot of you in that thesis. So it's a very good argument. It's worded really well, Hassan. It's a fantastic wording, okay? Professional readers love that type of writing where you have an objective sound argument yet still a very strong subjective voice or diction style. That's beautiful, okay? Oas says, although it is a great idea that people can get goods and services by providing personal information, they can save money and energy, but still this way is a scam and may be risky. Okay, Oas, careful with the word scam. You can work with it, just be careful, you know where you're going with it, okay? All right, here we go. So this is what I wrote, kind of similar to what some of you wrote. The benefits of exchanging personal data for goods and services are monetary savings. Monetary savings means that you save money, and up-to-date information. Okay, so I have that adjective, noun, adjective, noun. However, the deficits are a loss of time and identity. So losing time, and here, instead of saying being manipulated, I'm saying that people lose their identity, start losing who they truly are because they're being manipulated. Okay, so you can think of the word manipulation as a loss of identity. I personally believe, and I just broke it into 2 sentences, why not? I personally believe that it is better to pay with money and keep private information private whenever possible. So that's my personal opinion. As I think Maqsood said, sometimes there's no other choice to use a service. You have to give your personal information, right? So yeah, okay, in those cases, if I have to use that service and I need to give it, then I'll give it. But whenever possible, I'll pay that couple of dollars and protect my private information. That's an idea, right? Okay, so members, we're going to pick this up tomorrow. For tomorrow, please complete your introductory paragraph, okay? So I'll leave the hook. I'm sure you'll come up with something great for this. So the hook and background for tomorrow, so we can finish the essay, okay? That's where we'll pick it up in tomorrow's members chat class. And now coming up in about 35-6 minutes, we'll get into, I believe it's a reading class. I'll double check that, but we'll get into a reading class where everybody will be able to, sorry, it's a speaking part 1. There we go. It's a speaking part 1 class coming up. So we'll get into some speaking practice for the next class, okay? Speaking part 1. And I look forward to having all of you there. Thank you, Natalie. That's precious. You're very welcome, Hassan. Good work with that thesis, Hassan. That was an impressive thesis. All right. For everybody watching, to learn the right thinking and techniques for IELTS and for success, aehelp.com for academic and gieltshelp.com for the general version of the test. Hopefully, I will catch all of you in about 35 minutes for that speaking class. Much love to all of you. I'm Adrian, signing out for now from Budapest. Bye.